In this video, I'm going to talk about the 10 best nootropics to optimize your brain. Hi, I'm Dr. LeGrand, and I have ADHD and dyslexia, and over the years, I've had to use things such as nootropics to optimize my brain, especially going through college and medical school. I really relied on this because I didn't use stimulant medications. Instead, I found ways of using nootropics to really optimize my brain so that I could focus better, that I could memorize things better, as well as retain information and be more productive throughout the day. So not only am I going to share with you my 10 favorite ones that I have used, but also specifically I've used with my clients and my patients that also are looking to have an optimal brain, to optimize their brain by using something like a supplement versus using a stimulant medication. So number one that I have found that I use a lot over and over again, not only for myself, but also that I've seen that I've been using with my clients and patients that I see, is I first do run some testing. Now, before even doing any of these kind of supplements, you should always check with your doctor first because you have no idea if they do interact with other types of medications or what your medical history is. You first always should check with your doctor first. But the first one is L-theanine. Now, L-theanine, the reason I have seen this time and time again being a useful type of nootropic is because L-theanine is an amino acid that does help with certain types of areas with our neurotransmitters. So our neurotransmitters such as like serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and even GABA, whether they are high or low within our body, L-theanine either will help kind of regulate, bring those levels down, especially if we're in a really high stress state, which can impact our focus, impact our brain to be productive throughout the day, but it also can be low. So L-theanine can help with low levels of GABA, serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all those different types of neurotransmitters. So it's good either way, whether it's high or low. And this is why I utilize and use this time and time again when I do some testing, checking for neurotransmitters. And this is really, really important to use. In most of my patients and clients, I find that I'm using this one over and over again. And they're finding great benefits because they are able to reduce their stress or really optimizing their brain to be able to focus and to be more productive throughout the day. The second one that I would say is really important is L-tyrosine. Now, L-tyrosine is also another amino acid, but why I find this very effective is, again, when we're looking at neurotransmitters, these L-tyrosine can help build dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. It's actually a very important amino acid for building those types of neurotransmitters. And why is that important? Well, if you think about it, dopamine, especially dopamine and norepinephrine, when we see people who are depressed or even have ADHD, we will see dopamine and norepinephrine be an issue. And they will use a medication that is a stimulant that helps pretty much help with dopamine and norepinephrine. It basically blocks the reuptake of norepinephrine and dopamine. And what that does is basically, because it's not having that communication, it's blocking. That's what that medication is doing, is it will essentially increase levels of dopamine and norepinephrine because it'll just continue constantly be producing it. So it'll increase those levels. Well, to do it naturally, so you don't have to run into a lot of the side effects, is L-tyrosine can be a useful way of improving those levels. And you see this time and time again because it does. It helps with focus. It helps with motivation because dopamine specifically is our type of neurotransmitter that helps with motivation. But also norepinephrine has a lot to do with regulating with our stress. So it can also impact our way of how we do feel, how we manage with anxiety, as well as how we can deal with having focus and productivity. The third one that I would think is also really important to use is SAMe. Now, SAMe is really useful, that they've found to be useful with people with depression, but also with anxiety, and it has been shown to help improve memory and retention. By using this, it's something that, isn't really necessarily found in food. Our body naturally is supposed to be making it, but if we have deficiencies in our body, they have found that sometimes SAMe can really be important for optimizing our brain in ways of helping mood stabilization, which then of course is going to help improve our brain. The fourth nootropic that I would say that's really helpful is L-theanine. Now, why this one is a great amino acid, I see this more specifically for people who have attention deficit issues, who do come and see me who have ADHD. When I run these tests, it's specifically looking at PEA. Now, PEA has been looked at as also as a biomarker now as something that we see a lot with people who have ADHD. When they have low levels of PEA levels, then they typically will have ADHD. But of course, you still have to run all the different testing to confirm that diagnosis. But I'm hoping sometime in the future we use uses as an actual part of the diagnosis for ADHD, but adding something like L-theanine helps build those PEA levels, so therefore it's going to help with the focus, help with the intention within those areas. Now the fifth one is 5-HTP. Now this one you definitely have to be careful, especially if you are taking some kind of stimulant medication. It can interact with this. This is one I would say most you have to be cautious with about, but if you're not, 5-HTP has been shown in research to help with as a mood stabilizer, but it also has improved with focus as well because it's stabilizing mood, because when we are stressed and have anxiety, it makes it really difficult for us to focus and be productive. But you gotta understand, what is 5-HTP? Well, 5-HTP is the precursor breakdown of serotonin. Serotonin is what helps us with having good mood. Usually people who are depressed are gonna have low serotonin levels, but if you have elevated serotonin levels, you could be more agitated, more stressed. So 5-HTP, if you have low levels of serotonin or 5-HTP, this can make a huge difference for your mood if that is an issue. It also can really help improve with sleep. So sometimes, people will try something like melatonin, but I always ask the question, well, okay, do you have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep? And people have a hard time staying asleep. Something like, L-tryptophan or 5-HTP can help with that because it's a precursor to serotonin, because it also does help with sleep. And having good sleep is going to also improve our mind, improve our productivity, improve our focus, and having that optimal brain that you're looking for. Now, the sixth one is B-complex. Now, a good B-complex that has all the B vitamins, but activated form of B vitamins. So like B12 methylcobalamin, other activated forms of B vitamins is important. Now, why is it important to take a complex B vitamin or any B vitamins in general? Well, it's because B vitamins are the important cofactor for building all these different neurotransmitters within our brain chemistry, but also all these neurotransmitters are not just in our brain, but also throughout our body. And so to really optimize our dopamine levels, our serotonin levels, norepinephrine and epinephrine, and other different types of neurotransmitters throughout our body, they heavily rely on B vitamins. And if we are B vitamin deficient, then that becomes a problem. But more importantly, let's say you don't convert B vitamins very well in your body. This is why I think it's important to use an activated form of B vitamin versus a non-activated form, because if you don't convert B vitamins very well, this has to do with the MTHFR mutation gene, just meaning that you don't break down B vitamins very well. So taking an activated form can make all the difference by utilizing that, and can be a big missing piece of why your brain is not being optimized. And using an activated form B vitamin, it makes a huge difference, and I see it all the time with my clients and patients when we do that. The seventh one that I would say is lion's mane. Now, lion's mane is a mushroom, and this is still under experimental. They find some really good uses from, animal research studies. They are doing some experiments with humans and finding that it is helping optimize the brain, improve, focus. But they've also have seen that it does improve neural pathways. And by doing that can make a big difference of optimizing your brain. So lion's mane is something to look at. The seventh one is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been heavily utilized as definitely an Ayurvedic type of medicine. It's an herb that is really helpful for helping with adrenals, more specifically, I would say. And why is adrenals important? Well, adrenals is what releases norepinephrine and epinephrine levels, and also releases for cortisol, what has to do a lot with our energy, which of course energy does help with our focus. These do really impact our brain. It does impact how we feel on a day-to-day basis, and using something like ashwagandha can improve your adrenal functionality. But more importantly, it's when you're utilizing it. I would recommend using this specifically during times of the day when you feel most stressed, and try to take an hour before, and that can make a big difference by using something like ashwagandha. So number 9, I think I've said 7 or 8 on ashwagandha, but we're actually at number 9, and number 9 is Ginkgo Biloba. So Ginkgo Biloba is a great herb that's been used for a long time, and what's so important about Ginkgo Biloba is what it does. It does increase blood flow to the brain. So they have been seeing that it does help improve focus, also retention for memory, so it can really help optimize the brain. Something that I loved using throughout college. I still even use it because I did find a difference as I was, especially was in class, that I was able to retain more information, that I was able to memorize more things because I saw a big subtle difference from there. But along with also Ginkgo Biloba, which leads us to number 10, is Bacopa Monnier. Now, Bacopa Monnier is definitely very promising. It's something that they have seen in research, and by using an herb like this that can improve retention and memory, can make all all the difference to helping to be more productive, because if we can remember more things, then we could be more productive. These are all great resources as far as nootropics, but it's always important to be able to always look at testing first before implementing. But if you're trying to look at more of the details of the different types of nootropics to use and all the benefits, well, I have a huge playlist right here. It talks about all the different types of nootropics that we talked about today that you can look at this playlist. So watch this playlist right now, and I'll see you guys in the inside.